Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Каждый год по доброй традиции мы приветствуем вас в нашей Сколковской студии.
Hello, dear colleagues. As per our tradition, we're happy to welcome you to the classroom here at Skolkovo and talk about the coming new year. What we have today is a very unusual session because we have our distinguished partners with us, and I'm happy to introduce the participants of the first session. We have Yuri Levin, the rector of this school, as well as Dmitry Livanov, the rector of MIPT, also head of bachelor programs at Skolkovo, Andrei Sherbinok, and also head of FISTER Business School, Maria Sividova. Hello, dear friends. We are going to start this discussion of the results of the year and the plans, but I think we shall start indeed with the plans because you're all here to actually announce something that is dramatically new for this school. And here I would like to invite Yuri Levin to make a short introduction. Yes, thank you so much, Ksenia. Indeed, it is a very important date for us because for the first time ever, we are publicly announcing our joint program with MIPT. It's a BBA program, Bachelor in Business Administration. Some time ago, Skolkovo adopted a new strategy for the next 10 years. One of the key elements of which, if you like, one of the focal areas of development spelled out there is that of L, lifelong learning. In this respect, it's only natural that we decided to expand our traditional portfolio. Rather than simply focusing on traditional MBA programs, executive education programs, we decided to expand our portfolio by adding, in fact, by adding several products, the most important one, which is the one we want to tell you more about today. This is our joint BBA program with MIPT, Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. Now, it's important to us because with our new, or rather our amended mission, we actually want to help talented people become successful. Talents are getting younger. Now, previously, talents would be forged, so to speak, at the age of 25 to 35, but now it's happening more like at the age of 18 to 20. And if we want to deal with the talented people, and if we really want to help them integrate in the economy and in the corporate world and become entrepreneurs, then naturally, we should want to start working with them at such a tender age. So that's the main objective and the main mission that we have for ourselves, together with our partners from MIPT. We want to launch this program that would enable, very technically oriented talent from MIPT to actually blaze their trail in the corporate world or become entrepreneurs. We're going to launch this program in 2022. And our partners from MIPT are going to give the details of this program just a bit later. Sure. Dmitry, would you like to add something on behalf of MIPT? What does it all mean to you? So the way we say it, the objective of this program is not just to train people, cut out for a particular job, but rather to train people who will be able to transform existing processes. So effectively, it's a program for transformative managers. In order to properly transform something, you need to first learn how the whole system works, and then find ways of improving it, and then ultimately transform it. So it's not surprising that this program actually consists of three main elements. Now, we are indeed delighted to have MIPT as our important partner in this program because, well, we do believe it's a great combination of business education and classic education. And also, we are aware that besides, scientific and technological issues, there will also be other contexts, such as humanitarian ones, which managers also need to have some command of, and business education is also very important. So these are, in fact, the three elements or the three areas we want to train them. Next slide, please. So besides this overall program, which is the same for all the students, we are also enabling them to focus on something of their choosing, actually. So in the sixth semester, students will be invited to choose out of three specializations, such as sustainable management, startup creation, and business analytics. So having focused on one of these areas, in the seventh semester, students will be invited to join companies in the Skolkovo ecosystem, where they will need to, well, by way of probation, so to speak, run their projects. And they will also be able to take courses in areas which matter to them. So, for example, in the next slide, we are showing the trajectory of a person who decided to focus on business analytics. So he has done a bunch of courses. He's he's going through an incubation at a company where he wants to run a fintech project. And to that end, he's actually taking out courses on fintech. And this way, his actual project will be his, graduation paper, or it could be a project or a startup. And finally, we have developed a pretty sophisticated selection system. Now, we decided to start with a threshold of 85 points out of 100 possible on unified state exam. It's actually a pretty expensive program. So in order to qualify for a tuition grant from our sponsors, you certainly need to meet a number of criteria. And we actually are looking for people who have a very weird combination of competences. So if you actually have a pretty diverse interests and you're equally passionate about them all, this already makes you a very special person. So we are looking for people who will be very much interested in pretty diverse things, because we need people capable of analytic, mathematical thinking and also systemic perspective. But at the same time, we want these people to actually be transformative leaders. And that's a very unusual combination of skills, but we do hope we shall be able to find a program like this. I'm sorry, the right talent for a program like this. Thank you very much, Marie. Would you like to add something? Sure. So this program will be run, as far as MIPT is concerned, through our business school, and it's a relatively new establishment in the framework of MIPT. So we will be effectively a bridge between MIPT and Skolkovo. This is actually our second step, because, first we actually launched a master's program. So you probably know that this business school at MIPT has been created with the support of Sberbank. So we do have some experience in terms of running programs jointly with our partners, but we're going to expand and deepen this sort of experience in this program, where we are happy to collaborate with Moscow School of Management, Skolkovo. So besides our selection system, students will naturally be able, as they participate in this program, to choose various learning trajectories. So indeed, the entry requirements are pretty steep, but we are certain that those who do enroll will be able to make the best of their time. It's a 4-year program, so they should be able to find what works for them and apply their talent. Some great place. Dmitry, let's give it another try, shall we? So it's quite unusual, really, for MIPT to do this sort of thing, because MIPT is the leader in the Russian education industry, both in terms of quality and intensity and depth, and in terms of the successes and achievements of our graduates. That's why, for so many years, we haven't seen good enough partners that would make us much stronger. But Skolkovo is a notable exception, because Skolkovo, being the leader in management education in this country, and having in fact built itself a great reputation over a relatively short time it has been in existence. So it was, I guess, a very good choice for us. Now, the so-called MIPT system is based on three guiding principles. One is that we select the most talented people across the country. Second is that we provide them with profound, fundamental training, starting at year one, but then, starting from year five, we help them with a professionalization so that they indeed turn into, great academics, engineers, that they run very successful projects wherever they do it. So this has been the big idea behind this program. So MIPT will be responsible for the first 2 years of education. And I can assure you that in terms of intensity and selection of faculty, this program will not be different from other MIPT programs, which means that the graduates of this program will be able to, proudly say that they're graduates of MIPT. However, years 3 and 4 will be delivered at Skolkovo. So this is how professionalization is going to happen. And just like Andrei said, students will be involved in development projects for specific corporations. And this way, they will become outstanding, unique experts because they will be able to bring to the table two very different, or they're not really competencies, they're like sets of competences. And this should provide them with a really good head start in their life. So we shouldn't really be concerned about their future employment. They should be fine. Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have covered the presentation. I'm wondering if there are questions from the audience, and I really depend on the editors to tell me that. But I guess everybody will be really interested in those mundane questions, such as will the students of this program be exempt from military service? Sure, if you successfully pass exams, if you are enrolled on this program, you will be classified for all intents and purposes as both students of Skolkovo and MIPT, which means that, all the paraphernalia available to such students will be yours as well. What about the donors, the grant givers? What will be the responsibilities of these students? Are there any strings attached? No, there are no strings attached to these grants. There will be both individuals and corporations providing such grants. Now, I believe some grants may have strings attached to them. In fact, we will invite both individuals and corporations to fund tuition for certain students in this program. And in return, graduates will be expected to serve 1 to 3 years in their corporations. Now, let me stress this again. Most grants will come with no strings attached, but we are not completely prohibiting such grants either. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'm wondering, when shall we be able to actually start applying for it? Now, the current plan is as follows. Naturally, you first need to take your state exam, which happens in June. And after that, you can actually apply to the program and be admitted. However, we do have a selection process with our donors. So current understanding is that you should be able to apply in April. And, as you go through the rounds, you will be notified if your application will actually be supported financially by a donor or not. Now, we're actually going to run 2 open day sessions within the next 6 months or so. And I think it will be in January that we're going to throw a partnership event called the University of the Future. It is not directly related to this program, but it will make a lot of sense for us to actually talk about it there. We're actually going to be talking there about modern education and what you should be looking at when you are shopping for a program. By the way, speakers in this program will be not just the professors, but also visionaries and members of various corporations. We believe it's very important for our students to have a pretty good understanding of what they want to do with their lives. So we think it falls to us to help our bachelors actually decide what and where they want to do. Do they want to become corporate officers or entrepreneurs? And let me also add here that we will be collecting applications on the Skolkovo website until the 18th of December. Is it December? Oh, by the way, we're actually going to publish a QR code, so you should be able to scan it and go straight to the application page. So there is a question from Interfax about bursaries or stipends available and how you're going to actually review and assess the students. I will give you a general answer, and then Andre and my colleagues will probably want to add some details. In order to be successful in the corporate world, and in particular in order to be a successful entrepreneur, just having high grades on a unified state exam is not good enough. I mean, it must be useful, but it's certainly not sufficient. That's why we will care about soft skills and communication skills. Ultimately, we want to identify the unique people who have those three pillars, or three types of skills. We want them to certainly have very strong hard skills, particularly in the worlds of physics and mathematics. Secondly, we want them to have soft skills, and finally, communication skills. Naturally, we want them to want to work in teams. Team spirit will be an important element of their project work and of the whole program. This is actually what we want to see in group sessions and in interviews, and interviews will be a mandatory part of the admission process. Thank you very much. I actually don't see additional questions, then thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for this presentation. We do hope that this program will open great vistas for young, talented people in this country, and it will indeed help us produce, forgive me the word, lots of talented managers and entrepreneurs. Let me stress again that you can snap this QR code and get registered for the intensive program starting in January that will give you a kind of a feeling for what this program should be like. Thank you so much. And now we're switching to the second part of this conference, where we're actually going to change our speakers a little bit. But thank you very much, and we'll be happy to see you again.
Еще раз мы возвращаемся в нашу студию Glassroom после
And we're
короткого...
back at the Glassroom after a very short break, and we're going to start the second part of our online session. So in this annual conference, we are going to discuss our results and our plans for the next year. And this time we have our vice rectors with us, Yevgeny Kaganer and Alexander Kim. Dear colleagues, I suggest we start, and let's try summarizing everything we've gone through this year, given our strategic foci, given our major projects. Yuri, would you like to start? Yes, thank you so much, Ksenia. This has been indeed a very interesting year. And this year has actually brought major results. Many of the things we sold last year are giving shoots this year. And we do hope that these projects will actually start blooming next year. I'll try to cover our main results and main achievements this year, and then my distinguished peers will add more interesting bits. Now, let me first tell you about our ratings-related achievements. For the first time ever, we have participated this year in the ranking of best European schools according to Financial Times, and scored position 49 out of 90 something, which is actually a major achievement if you come to think of it, given particularly that we are the only the only school representing the Russian Federation on this ranking. And we're actually the only school to ever make it to this ranking in the first go. Also, our executive MBA has been ranked among the top 100 EMBA programs globally by Financial Times. And we actually have position number 59 there, which is not good enough if you ask me, but for a good step, it's pretty good. We're also ranking number 9 globally in terms of the total revenue of our graduates, and we're number 2 in Europe. What really matters to business schools is the success of our graduates, and everything we do in order to help our graduates become even more successful. So in this respect, the numbers I've just mentioned are certainly great news to us. I believe we are on the right track towards our ambition of intellectual leadership. What I want to say about corporate programs is that we are among the top 30 according to Financial Times in Europe. We are number 44 globally according to FT 2021, which means that in both main lines of business that we have, which of executive education or corporate education and executive MBA, we are sticking to the right track. We still have very ambitious objectives. And what we have in our 10-year strategic business plan, as you certainly remember, is that we want to become one of the top 20 business schools globally. So these first results are quite heartening. However, there is still so much that needs to be done. International partnerships and collaborations are a very important element of our 10-year plan. Now, first and foremost, we have extended our partnership with Hong Kong University of Science and Technology until 2024. HKUST has been and remains our very important strategic partner. We have also become a strategic partner of Matena, the new business school from Armenia. Actually, last week, I made my first ever visit to Armenia, which I enjoyed very much, and I find it was very productive. We do have lots of plans and lots of initiatives for that region. Also, we are running lots of initiatives in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and other countries that neighbor Russia. I should probably mention here that we're not really focusing that much on our immediate neighbors. So it's only natural that we're expanding our partnership with IMD, ESMT from Berlin, and Tel Aviv University Business School, Kohler, as well as Judge School of Business from the University of Cambridge. Internationalization is one of the key elements of our strategy. Now, in terms of faculty, the way we are going to develop will be primarily driven by the quality of faculty in the school. So what we're doing this year, what we're going to do in the next 10 years, will all be driven in order to create a fundamentally very strong global faculty base. So we are happy that we have retained 10 full-time international professors, graduates of PhD programs of the leading business schools globally. We are delighted this is the case, and we believe it will be a great foundation for bringing in even more global professors, which in turn will help us develop the school even further. Will help us develop what we call the academic platform. Next, I should mention our leadership in two key areas. One is digitalization, AI, and analytics, and the other is sustainable development. Now, we are retaining a global faculty and researchers. We are starting specialized training programs for managers and leaders in these areas, and Evgeny Kaganer is going to tell you more about these programs. Well, I will simply say that last month we launched first ever program in MMA in Russia, which is Master in Management Analytics. And this program is designed to actually train managers in the fields of, well, if not really doing analytics, at least commissioning analytics. And now we are focusing a lot on the sustainable development activities and center and such. Next, let me tell you how we're trying to optimize the operations of this school. Now, the slide reminds us that customer centricity is one of the key pillars of our strategy. We want to provide best possible education experience to all our customers. That's why we are re-engineering all the business processes in the school in order to create the first ever truly customer-centric school, so that everything we do is designed to improve the education experience of our students. That's why we have launched this program with a very telltale name of Copernicus. So this program should enable us to become much more customer-centric. Some of the elements of this transition I should mention include lifelong learning. Now, lots of people are talking about it, but very few institutions are actually successful at implementing lifelong learning. So for us, it's more than a slogan. We use it internally. We apply it to our relations with our partners. We like to say that you do not finish, quote unquote, you don't graduate from Skolkovo. You can start Skolkovo. But Skolkovo is not a finish, it's rather a beginning. So personalization of learning trajectories and having recommendation systems, we believe it's very important for us to be able to provide recommendations to all our friends with regard to their potential learning trajectories, so that you can develop personally and professionally. Very often, we hear from our friends requests for giving advice regarding a finance program. And after 5 minutes discussion, we can discover, for example, that what they need is not a finance program, but rather a venture building program. And if we actually go with the request of the person and propose a particular finance course, well, we will sell a course, but customer satisfaction will drop. So certainly, we will be developing our offers and also our recommendation engines so that we can have a better understanding of who you are, what you really need, what you want, and in order to be able to recommend a particular learning track that would maximize your benefits from exposure to the Skolkovo ecosystem. Having a single standard for education programs. After we have discovered what you need and after we've developed your personal learning track for you, it's important for us to know how to quickly offer to you products and courses that would meet your needs. So our internal processes should be designed to support this philosophy. And finally, dynamic pricing. Differential dynamic pricing. Something that should make our model more efficient and more flexible. And the last thing I want to say, and I've actually mentioned lots of great things, such as retaining best talent, faculty, and researchers alike, and digitalization of the school, because many of things I've mentioned, such as a recommendation engine, our effective engagement with the students and other stakeholders, all this actually requires substantial investment. And this means that we need to be efficient. So in this respect, I want to mention with great pleasure that our revenue over the past 12 months went up by about 25%. In the first 6 months of this financial year, it went up by over 35%, which is good because we want to invest in the things I've already mentioned. And you know what? As the saying goes, a mouse cannot give birth to a mountain. So in order for us to be very modern and provide best-in-class experience to the participants of the Skolkovo environment, we certainly need to continue our own growth. Thank you so much, Yuri. Indeed, our slogan, the new one that we actually have invented for our 15th anniversary, is becoming a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, as a student of EMBA at Skolkovo, I absolutely need to ask Evgeny what to expect. Because, we have been seeing major transformations there, changes in the program and changes in class size. Thank you very much for this question. I think 2021 was a year when the pandemic became pretty much normal. We did normalize it. It's no longer treated as a force majeure, which means that we as a school
научились проводить программы, восстановили все свои программы, всю свою образовательную активность в полной мере.
Have been able to restore our activity and our programs. However, we have lots of new formats now. We have found new tricks of the trade, so to speak. Lots of our programs have been substantially redesigned. Now, if we focus on those education programs, we can actually stress and emphasize it has been a successful year, and it keeps us pretty optimistic about going forward. Yuri has already mentioned that we have launched several flagship programs or signature programs, such as MMA, Masters in Management Analytics, which is obviously focusing on data-driven management. And we want to continue in the same line, in the same vein. At the same time, we did a redesign and some reloads and scaling of our traditional programs such as Executive MBA and MBA. So our objective was to well, review these programs, because that was pretty much the requirement of the pandemic. But at the same time, we wanted to bring our programs abreast of all the most recent developments in the business school world. I believe we've largely been successful in doing that. And the record sizes of our current cohorts are actually proof of that. Take our executive MBA program. Now, we've actually launched the largest cohort ever for this school, 71 people in the group. I'm sorry, EMBA 14 actually has 78 people in it. This should not be misconstrued to mean that maximizing the size of the class is our priority. It isn't. Our priorities remain the same. It's equality of education. Now, as regards customized corporate programs, we continue progressing in this respect as well. And over this year, we have run 158 corporate programs. And I understand that the number itself may sound abstract, like it's not really clear if that's a lot. No, it's actually 26% more than we had last year. So we have new clients, we have some international clients, foreign corporations, primarily those operating in Russia and the CIS, which is good because we are focusing on them. I want to stress here Master of Public Administration. This program is just finished here. Like, we're sitting here in the classroom, but pretty much next door, they're having their graduation ceremony. So this program targeted the mayors and mayoral teams of 100 largest cities in this country, with the exception of Moscow and St. Petersburg. This has been a very practical program. The teams on this program were expected to develop their municipal development plans, which is great because we actually hope that this program will have a major impact on lives of millions and millions of Russians across the country. What else should I say? You know, we are always considering new, important topics and subjects that we should focus on, although they are not really that much, the mainstream elsewhere. And it is in this logic that we've launched the FLOW program, Female Leadership program. And, it's a relatively new phenomenon in this country, and shall I say, in this region. This program is not a humongous one, but it's very important. Like, we do believe that the very topic of this program, which is female leadership and entrepreneurship, is extremely important. Now, Yuri has already touched upon the subject of the importance of our ability to retain great faculty. In this respect, we have indeed been very productive. We have retained 10 new professors, international academics, professors of business practice, and it is already having an impact on how we teach and how we run our programs. In fact, it is already seeping through into our research. 2021 became the first year when we actually scored academic publications in the leading journals. Now, there is a list of important magazines compiled by Financial Times. So these are very selective magazines. It's difficult to get published in them. So we now have 2 publications from by our professors in these elite magazines. So these are the so-called Class A journals and magazines. Journals, I think, is a better term. I should also mention other types of publications. For example, Mr. Kurovkin, Vladimir Kurovkin, who's our senior professor of business practice, published his book, From a Rhinoceros to a Unicorn, which was recognized as the best business book of the year. Our centers continue to run lots of research studies, and over a dozen various research papers have been published on economics, finance, development of the consumer market, wealth management, and other topics. And I should also stress here various partnership projects. For example, we have this ranking of global elite quality, which we run jointly with the St. Gallen University of Switzerland. And for the second time in a row, we've been a partner of IMD in compiling the competitiveness ranking for various economies and countries. So we were responsible for the Russian bit there. So we are building a better foundation in terms of our faculty, and we are developing our program offering, as well as our research capabilities. Great. And indeed, this year we've also established 2 new centers. Absolutely. One is a data-driven management center, and Master of Management Analytics is a program that is very much supported by this very center. And it's one of the key strategic topics for the school. And we're also establishing we're already developing the school for a center for sustainable development. Interestingly, we have a corporate program with Evraz, which is going to focus on sustainable development exclusively. I am getting questions from our audience, but I'll switch to them a bit later. And in the meanwhile, I want to hand it over to Alexander Kim. Sasha? Alexander is barely audible. Year 2021. You know, we've actually been trying to learn how to work in this new normal. And we have indeed grown by, 25% year on year? On the other hand, although, we're still feeling the pressure of the pandemic, this year has been a record-breaking in terms of revenue for this school, which means that we are, in fact, creating, gaining foothold for further growth in terms of our academic capabilities, in terms of campus development, in terms of, expanding our customer centricity. Now, revenue for us is certainly not an end in itself. It's just a tool. So we certainly want to be recognized as one of the top 20 best business schools globally. And our calculations are telling us that, the kind of revenue that should support further growth is like $200 million. And this is where we want to be in 3 years' time. Naturally, we don't want to stay there. We will want to continue our development beyond that as well. So our current numbers are showing, pretty much the kind of pace of growth that we need to have in order to reach this target in 3 years' time. So compared to the pre-pandemic year, we actually grew by 30%, which means that, as a team, as a school, we should be able to get there because, we seem to have learned the required tricks of the trade, although there is still so much that needs to be done. Our graduates, our alumni, will also play a very important role. So we have already mentioned the class sizes and in both the MBA programs and corporate programs alike. So the previous year was also a record breaker in this respect as well, because we had over 9,500 graduates, which means that the total number of our graduates over the 15 years we've been in business has already exceeded 40,000. So 40,000 people we have impacted directly, which is great for us, particularly if seen through the lens of LLL, lifelong learning, because we want people to start and restart Skolkovo. Oh, indeed. Thank you so much. What are the projects we, as graduates, which I will be next year, should be looking for? It's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, no, when Yuri joined the team, we started reconsidering the way we are, supporting our alumni. Now, this means that we'll actually have new formats. So in smaller groups, maybe, but we will be interacting more with the community. We're also restarting the Alumni Association. This actually means that in February, we'll actually do a reload of the association. Hopefully, it will enable us to breathe new life into our alumni community. Let me ask here, next year, we'll try to sort of forget the traditional concept of a graduate. Alumnus actually sounds wrong, particularly from the perspective of Triple L. A graduate is somebody, who was active on a program, and now we are treating them as what? A liability, as somebody who's passive? We want everybody to stay active. We actually don't want anybody to be passive. This is actually the main message that we have for our great community of alumni. We appreciate that you spent your time with us. We understand you decided to take a vacation. Maybe you've worked very hard, but now should be a good time for you to actually study again. We will be looking forward to meeting you, your friends, maybe your family or your whole corporation. So this is how we would like to engage you, at least throughout the active years of your life. Secondly, in terms of this new model for working with our alumni, we'll certainly want to provide new digital products so that our alumni will find it easier to communicate with the school and with each other. Our plan is to create a community, or if you like, a digital platform that would help you stay connected. And we will love to help you in this respect. We want you to actually interact more, and we want you to keep thinking about us and stay in touch with us. I always say that the quality of a business school is driven by the quality, and forgive me for using this antiquated word, is graduates. So the success of a school is effectively the success of you guys. And whether or not you will continue playing an active role in whatever is happening here, we're in the same boat here. So let's create those conditions where we will be able to enjoy a mutually beneficial collaboration. Thank you so much. There is a question about research. So what kind of topics will be within the focus of attention of the research team here at Skolkovo? Well, there are two signature topics I've mentioned already. One is how organizations become data-driven companies. And there will be quite a lot of research in this particular area. We're also going to expand key drop subject. Actually, sustainable development is a major field, isn't it? For example, the Energy Center will continue to focus on matters of decarbonization and energy transition. And the topics related to the launch of new types of organizations will also be important. As a school, we've been historically focusing on issues of organizational change and organizational transformation. So these topics will also remain very dominant and prevalent for us. What's really important here is the kind of talent we are attracting. The people we have already attracted, they've got areas of interest, some of them, in traditional areas such as marketing or operations management. But at the same time, they're very much interested in those burgeoning, emerging new fields I've just talked about. So our professors and our researchers will play a critical role in this respect. And naturally, our partners as well, absolutely. So our centers collaborate a lot with the diverse industrial partners. And we do have a very reliable partnership process there, where, in discussions with them, we will identify things that matter to our partners, which will actually form and shape our research agenda. Great, thank you. We also have another question from RIA Novosti. So you've mentioned that Master of Public Administration program is coming to a close. Is the school actually planning to run similar programs going forward, next year or the year after that? Well, when you say similar, what do you mean? Is that in terms of the nature or in terms of the size? And it's a rhetorical question for me. What I'm trying to say here is that it's a large scale program for us. We are not really planning anything on the same scale anytime soon. And it has been an extremely important program for the country. And we've been supported by SBER and VEB and other very important institutions. But we're also considering other formats and other programs with which we would be able to support the development of Russian cities and the development of their management teams. We actually have lots of programs, for example, in the field of healthcare. So we are focusing on public administration, which is obviously different from managing a corporation. So we have pretty ambitious plans in this department. If I may, sure. We are becoming a proper business and administration school. So rather than simply training top talent for the leading corporations, rather than simply training entrepreneurs and people who will lead small and medium businesses, we're also training now a lot of experts in the field of public administration. And this is something that we really care about. Thank you so much. Indeed, I see that the portfolio is getting larger. Number of programs is growing. I don't see more questions from the editors or the audience, and it does feel that we have already discussed the new strategic priorities of the school in enough detail. Now we have a better understanding of our education and research agenda going forward, as well as how we're going to engage our graduates and how we're going to accelerate our growth. In my capacity as a moderator, I would like to add that this year, we were also able to score some significant results as a corporation. Well, for example, our campus has actually been certified under environmental standard GreenM, and we're also listed among the best employers by Forbes. And as an employee, I'm very grateful for that to the management team. Thank you very much for this very interesting discussion, and all the kudos to our audience. And naturally, this recording will be available on YouTube. If you have any comments or questions, please submit them on YouTube, and we'll try to make sure that we return all your queries and answer all your questions. Thank you so much. What will Skolkovo be in the new decade? It will be a role model in education, a high-tech education platform, an innovative communication environment, and the right environment for development. The school is already fine-tuning and inventing best technologies, from immersive perception to mixed reality. We are integrating and, in fact, launching education scenarios. For maturity, we are creating a cloud campus, uniquely equipped rooms are great for the blended format. They used to create this hybrid learning experience worthy of the 21st century. Cloud solutions and end-to-end analytics will provide you with a personalized set of competencies. In the 21st century, Skolkovo is a high-tech platform based on expertise of researchers and professors, digital business processes, and agile cloud campus-based management of education processes. Thank you very much. End of event, end of transmission. Stay positive, test negative. Bye-bye.